Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin versus gold. A lot of people have been selling off their Bitcoin to buy gold, and is that a wise choice? Is Bitcoin a good replacement for gold? Well, first thing that comes to my mind when we take a look at this is that gold has been around for 5,000 years plus. It has lasted all the great empires. It's outlasted centuries, millennium. America's on its fourth paper money, and gold is still worth money. So a lot of times the people that buy gold, they're looking for that type of protection, that it's going to be worth something no matter what. Bitcoin is basically a fad or a speculation. We know it's a fad because when we take a look at the gold price, gold has been worth roughly 1,000 loaves of bread for the 5,000 years that it's been used as a store of wealth. Bitcoin went from 0 to what, 7,000, based off of what? Just mostly popularity, and there's nothing tangible about it, so it's just a code in a computer. So basically it's a supply and demand deal where as it's gained popularity, it's not being able to be mined quickly enough, and now it's at this astronomical price. Doesn't mean that Bitcoin crashes and just goes away just because it's a fad. Look, Starbucks, social media, these were all fads and they're still around. But if you're going to be selling your gold and selling your protection for something that's unproven, I think they're more opposites. They have a lot more going against each other than they do going with each other. I think it's attracted, the same kind of person is attracted to Bitcoin that's attracted to gold, because it's getting away from the dollar, and it's like out of the system, and it can sit on the sidelines basically. So it might attract the same type of investor and mentality, but it does not perform the same way. If you were going to buy gold, you can dollar cost average, you can buy on dip. Same with Bitcoin, you can do these things, but when you're buying gold, you can hold on to something tangible. If you own a Bitcoin and things start going wrong in the country that you're in, because that's what it's going to be based on, is the currency that you're in versus your Bitcoin. And if the country you're in starts going through massive trouble, they're going to just they're very likely going to ban Bitcoin. We've already seen it in history. I think, in Venezuela, you go to prison for owning Bitcoin. Well, and they can do that with gold too. So let's say the government wants to ban your gold. Well, it's something tangible. It's in your hand. You can hide it. You can decide to participate and turn it in. You can use that gold to smuggle yourself out of the country. We're talking like the worst case scenario stuff here. But more than that, if there's a hyperinflation and money in your country is fleeing, they're likely, the country that prints the fiat currency that you're in is likely to ban something like Bitcoin, and not something tangible like gold. And if they do ban it, you're going to have a much harder time with it. Another thing too, when you look at gold, it's moving opposite of the dollar, where Bitcoin really doesn't correlate. It's not a hedge for anything. It doesn't really correlate with any type of market. So when you're buying Bitcoin, you're purely speculating. And matter of fact, you're only buying it for appreciation. You're just buying it for the hope, basically. It's a hope investment. You're just buying it in hopes that it's going to be worth, astronomical price tomorrow. And another thing too that makes Bitcoin dangerous is the volatility. So I would say, if you're a gold investor and you're going to run into Bitcoin, man, that's a crazy run. It's almost like running with a chainsaw. You could get hurt. And it's purely speculation. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't own Bitcoin, and it doesn't mean that it's a foolish investment. But I feel like there's ways that you can own Bitcoin and you can participate in this mania without having to sell your gold. The nice thing about Bitcoin is you could just buy it a little bit at a time. So you could buy on the dips, if you feel like you can trade it, you could buy Bitcoin every time it has a massive pullback, which is often, really. So if you feel like you could trade it, or if you don't have good timing, or you're at the wrong end of the timing on some of this, one other thing you can do is just dollar cost average. Every paycheck, put a little bit of money in. You can do this with any investment, but these are ways that you can buy Bitcoin in a relatively safe manner. But the number one important point about investing in Bitcoin is don't invest more than you can afford to lose. And if you're selling everything for Bitcoin and you get cracking your safety deposit box and selling your gold to get Bitcoin, you really got to think, are you putting in more than you can afford to lose? And this is a very real thing, because Bitcoin can go down by 50%, like nothing, and if you've never bought it before and you're looking at other investments, or maybe you've never even invested, I've had friends that have asked me, oh, what do you think of Bitcoin? Well, and I know that they're not the type that likes to save and invest, but it seems like they're open to the idea to put some money in Bitcoin. And that's when whenever I see something like that, I start heading for the exits, because that pretty much means everybody else is already in it that's going to get in it, and now the mainstream's looking at it, and once they buy, who's left to buy to push that price up? And normally when something goes down, all that people are left with is holding the bag. But in the case of Bitcoin, there is no bag, so you're left basically holding nothing. So a really risky decision if you're trying to sell your gold to buy Bitcoin, or if you're going to buy Bitcoin because you feel like the country, is going to experience trouble, and that's going to help you. If that's why you're buying Bitcoin, is because some catastrophe, I think you're way off the mark, because all these governments are simply going to do is just ban it or shut it down. And what's to stop that government from starting their own cryptocurrency? We're starting to see these spin-off cryptocurrencies, which is kind of inflationary, but that could be another video. But one thing we're not seeing is government-backed or government-sponsored cryptocurrency, and this is right up their alley. They already do the paper currency. They already have currency digitized, basically, when you go to your local bank, and digital. This isn't really necessarily new with digital money flying around. It's just the structure and the way it's presented is new, but a government could totally imitate that and then make everything else illegal. So if you're gonna buy it thinking that you're gonna be able to protect yourself against, say, a recession, there's so many better ways to do that, and that's another video. Maybe we'll make another video on how to survive a recession, but it's not going to be Bitcoin. So hopefully, if you buy Bitcoin and you want to speculate, because that's what it will be at this point, is a speculation. If you're going to speculate in Bitcoin, hopefully you do it in a smart manner, and it's not something that ends up hurting you in the long term. I know many people have done well with it recently, but nothing lasts forever. So did you like this video? If you liked it, go ahead and click the like button, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.